Well, guys, welcome back to Between Sets with Frankie Seta. Before you hear this conversation with Vikki, I want to slow everything down just for a minute and tell you why. Well, this all matters to me, but this one specifically. I now sing songs for a living, and I try to make it so that, people lean in and it slows the room down. Even though I jump around, I'm not getting everybody else up to jump around and necessarily dance all the time. It's not what I'm trying to do. So, but, specifically sometimes pick ones that, slow the room down long enough for, somebody to remember who they are. And we've talked about that in the past. It's my passion, right? That little kid inside of us. So, Between Sets, it comes from that place too. It comes from the same thing. This was never supposed to be another show where, we're just yelling at each other or, trying to prove how smart we are or, even ruin anyone's reputation or bring up a lot of mistakes. Today, it's just about being a human being. It's about Vikki, to be honest. Before she's a part of my story, she has a whole story of her own, right? She's a mother, she's a daughter, a woman of deep Italian and Chicago roots. You're going to hear a lot about that. She's sharp, capable, very resilient, and somehow, keeps that chaos moving at work. And you'll hear about that, logistics and transportation. And a lot of us have, touched that. So it's kind of cool to hear, that side of the industry again. I miss it a little bit. So, she's carried a lot of things that most people, they just don't know. And I think that happens with a lot of us. And, she's remained standing and resilient. Like I said, Vikki and I have known each other for 20 years. We were friends first. She was at my first wedding. Life moved forward. We ended up falling in love, getting married, divorced, spent years apart, and somehow now found ourselves, sitting at the same table again. And I'm not telling you that every relationship should come back together. Some doors close for good reasons. Some doors need to remain closed. I guess every person, every soul, every relationship, every story, it kind of requires true discernment, prayer, truth. And luckily for us, our door opened again. And when it did, we learned that grace, it doesn't mean that pretending yesterday didn't happen, right? So grace came from God and both of us had to receive it individually and then bring it into our relationship, right? If we wanted a different harvest, we had to start planting, different seeds, and you wonder why peace wouldn't grow, right? But you got to plant peace. So, and we've been planting honesty and, I guess one thing that I've learned too is apologies without but attached, right? I want to defend myself or she wants to, it's just life, right? We always want to do that, but you need boundaries without cruelty. You got to be able to forgive without being foolish and then let some of these old versions of yourself kind of die in the past, right? Without dragging it into anything new. We haven't done it perfectly. We still don't, but we're standing here, and it's not as some like poster couple who figured it all out, right? I want to be very clear about that. But in many ways, I see me and Vic as like the anti-culture couple. And let me explain why I mean that, right? So, and it's not because we're better than anybody, but I would say that the culture keeps telling you to move faster. Wants you to replace people, expose their wounds, expose your, let it all out. You got to win every argument. And I don't know, maybe judge somebody forever in some of their worst chapters, right? And what I'm trying to do, what Vic's trying to do is we're trying to slow it down. And I believe protect what is truly sacred. Tell the truth without, using the truth as a weapon, right? Forgive without losing discernment in what you're learning from that, right? And I think our Catholic faith has been at the center of all of it, to be honest, and it's been huge for us. Being Catholic doesn't mean that like we're above anybody else. It doesn't. But it helps us show how much we need mercy, and it helps us when we fall. You confess, you forgive, you get back up, and you try to walk with Jesus the best you can, and keep winning the day, right? And I've talked about our life being one long day, but if you could win the individual day, it goes a long way, When I think about the cross, it reminds us of what real love costs, right? And sometimes what it costs is for me or for others, it could be our pride. Sometimes it costs our need we want to go win, right? Sometimes it means finally putting down, the weapon of yesterday because we could use that, right? We know what happened yesterday, but grace does not call wrong right. That's important. It does not erase history. It doesn't excuse what wounded us, but grace simply says, what are you going to do with that today, right? So this conversation does, it doesn't erase any person or any chapter that came before where we're at. It doesn't rewrite history. And it's not meant to make ourselves look perfect, but it's important to tell our story, right? It's simply, this is going to be a simple, honest conversation about, what can happen when two imperfect people stop demanding perfection from each other and I guess begin talking responsibility and love of God and you place that in front of us and I don't ever claim to be the light. Jesus is the light. I guess at my very best, a prism does not create the light, and I talked about that. It simply lets the light pass through it. Okay, and at my best, that's all I'm trying to be. Something cracked enough to understand pain, humble enough to get out of his own way, because sometimes that's I still like to do that and keep my clean eyes, clean heart, and let that light pass through. And I think that's all any of us can do. And this is one of my deepest whys. Maybe someone watching will remember that a person is more than their worst moment. Okay, and I don't know. I always talk about the mother being seen, or two friends fighting, that it's just things. It's not really worth that fight, right? So I'm just saying it gives you options. I hope maybe you guys can pick up something from it. And before I go any further, I do have to thank Andrea. Andrea, absolutely what you did for us. You opened up your house, your backyard, your table. You did not simply give us a place to just record. You gave us a real Sunday dinner conversation. It was a lot of laughs and the kind of hospitality that made us feel like family. And in a world that has seemed to forgotten how to sit together a lot, you made a table for us. Thank you so much. And you know what? You guys are going to kind of see that spirit woven into this entire episode. So this is not a perfect love story. It's just a real conversation about family, faith, friendship, mistakes, responsibilities, growth, and what can happen when two people allow the grace of Jesus to enter under their roof. And it replaces pride. And in my life, truth is the music never really stops, just pauses between sets, and these are where the stories really begin. So guys, without further ado, hope you enjoy.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back to Between Sets with Frankie Seta. Going to start round 2 of these, and there was only really one place for me to start. So today's guest, Chicago through and through, raised in an Italian-American Catholic family, a mother of 2 grown children, a huge Cubs fan, a huge Bears fan. So, loyalty, heartache, all of that stuff was already a part of her before I ever showed up. So she's also a granddaughter of an incredible woman. We're going to talk about that. Her grandmother's 102, about to turn 103. And you just think about all that her eyes have seen and how much family history is there. And it's beautiful, and now other things. For a couple of years, me and Vikki, we helped run a company together. Today, she works for a huge logistics company. It's called the Custom Company. So she's going to talk a little bit about that. I could try to explain what she does, all day, but she would probably tell me I got it wrong anyways. So I've known Vikki for almost 20 years, and she's been there, major moments in my life, including, my first wedding. Life took both of us, through our own chapters in different directions. But after years and friendship and a lot of different stories, we've come back together here. So she's been my friend, my wife, my ex-wife, through every version of us, my best friend. Somehow, after all these chapters, we found our way back besides each other again. So she's also completely convinced she's quicker than me. So we're gonna address that as well too. But today is not about placing Vikki in my story. It's about giving her the microphone and letting everyone, meet her the way I know her a little bit. So with that being said, let's welcome Vikki. And Vikki, welcome to Between Sets. People know you as a mother, a manager, all the other titles that you've been given. But if somebody is meeting you for the first time, how would you describe Vikki Gentile?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this interview. I am very excited, a little nervous, but mostly excited. And I would probably have to say I might seem like very outgoing, loud, and on the outside, but on the inside, I'm just quiet, simple girl and like to take walks in the forest and kind of do my own thing. And very simple is how I would usually just describe myself.
Well, that's good. Simple's good. And let's talk about simple little Vikki for a minute. Well, what's one of your favorite memories growing up? Who was there? What was happening, and what piece of that memory do you still carry with you today?
One memory that was yearly for us was my grandfather every year had a picnic, usually the last weekend of the summer, early September, right around Labor Day. And it was a huge picnic out at his house in McHenry where he had a big open land with a lake behind it. And everyone from friends to family to friends that became family was there. And it was just something that we always looked forward to at the end of the summer. And the food was.
We're in Chicago. It's going to happen. Sorry, even though it looks like Italy, and I don't want to cut you off, but let's just get this out. We have a really good friend, Andrea, said, hey, you got to come record this in the backyard. So we did. Andrea, thank you. And what an
We're in
amazing
this
dinner.
beautiful.
Yeah, we're in this beautiful. But
Where it looks like we're in Italy.
Yeah, but so you're going to hear Chicago once in a while with the sirens. But anyway, sorry, babe, go ahead.
So that's one of my favorite memories of growing up and just looking forward to it and every year. And
who was a part of it?
Well, it was my mom's dad's house that it was at, but
yeah.
Both sides of my grandma's family were there. His family was there. Like I said, friends that became family. So it was really everybody.
Love it. All right. If you could walk me through the house you grew up in, what would I hear? What would it smell like? What would I see? And what made that place feel like home to you?
Well, I guess you could say it was, kind of a little bit old school, very Italian. We lived with my grandmother. Both my mom's brothers lived with us as well. So there was a downstairs apartment and they lived down there. And my mom, my grandma, my sister, and I lived in the main part of the house. And we grew up very Italian, home cooked meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. So the smells you would smell was probably some of the most amazing smells you could imagine. Gravy cooking on the stove, bread being baked in the oven, just, any and every Italian specialty you can imagine being cooked almost every single day. So, and lots of people in and out of the house as well. Cousins, aunts, uncles, friends coming over, our friends, the kids' friends coming over. It's very, very lively house and lots of fun growing up.
Well, that sounds about like we have a lot of similarities in that.
Yes.
And so I think that's why even coming over here today, I Andrea, how nice it was to walk in and smell. I mean, I don't know how many tomatoes she actually had to have going on on the table when she originally started, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome to share that stuff. And yeah, I like sitting around the table with you. So there you go. All right. Well, I got to ask you, what brings you back faster? A song, the smell, what's quicker? The smell of the food, a song, I guess.
I think it's the smells. I still walk into that house and I still smell those same exact smells that I grew up smelling. And,
I don't know. I feel like there's something about like smells that cut through. Like even your eyes have to filter, but a smell like goes right to the.
People would always say, like when I was growing up and my friends would pick us up from my grandma's house, we would have a smell on our clothes and it was of cooking.
Yeah.
It really, truly was. And people remember that smell. So yeah. I don't know that smell because, I'm probably nose blind to it.
Yeah.
But it's that smell that, I still walk into that house today and those smells bring me back to immediate childhood. And I think it always will.
Love that. All right, let's talk about your grandmother. She's 102, about to be 103, which is incredible. But out of everything she has, lived and you have learned from her, what story or lesson do you most want to, carry forward in your own traditions that she taught you?
I think the mainstay that she has like instilled in me, my sister, even my own daughters, is faith and just family and tradition. Faith, family, and tradition are her biggest, things that she stands up for and truly lives every day for. And I think what's allowed her to live this long and have the most amazing family that she does around her. For me, just being blessed enough to grow up and wake up every day with her growing up was truly a blessing. And then moving out on my own and having my kids go back there and, live a part of what I grew up with and just was such a blessing for us as, as a family. And I think it does. I think it's really kept her, what she lives for is her family. And that's really been pushed into us for tradition wise and holiday wise, and just always coming back to that, main thing of being
Well, and I've been blessed to be
close.
a part of that in part of our chapters too. And it is remarkable. But that's the thing. I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot with numbers, but I mean, doesn't she have something like how many great grandkids or grandkids? Like the numbers are like, like,
she has 5 grandchildren and 10 great grandchildren.
and yeah, I mean, it's really cool.
And she has a great grandchild, but her first great grandchild on the way.
That's awesome. Well, and I gotta say a little side note. And I got like all my notes. You guys see me looking down. It's because I got these questions and notes that I put down. But I didn't think she was going to answer what she was doing yesterday, but we had some downtime yesterday and she was talking about her grandma and stuff like that. Things, what we could do when we get older. And so she whips out the crochet. Yeah. And then,
Fail.
Not really. Epic fail a couple times, but by the end of like the second or third epic fail, she knew how to
magic ring
six
stitch.
time. It was like, and I'm learning as we're going.
And my grandma crocheted a blanket for every one of her grandchildren and every one of her great grandchildren. So,
and I think that's another thing that, there's not enough of even like our generation. I heard like there's all these guys that are retiring that are working on the engines for the trains and the airplanes, and there's nobody that's even certified to go do that stuff anymore. They actually use your hands.
It's the dying things that, of the old times. And unless it's passed down and taught,
Well, and I guess that's a part of this podcast and why I brought it back, because I think that, for our traditions, it's like, it's everything, right? And I want my kids to hear this. I want her kids to hear this. And it just carries it on, right? And it's you to make it your own a little bit, but I don't know, it keeps going. And that was really cool. But didn't you guys just do the walk too?
Yeah. Our Lady of Mount Carmel and my grandma
made it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just awesome. All right. Well, you and I share those Italian American Catholic roots, and that's what I was kind of talking about. But every family lives them a little differently. What did being Italian and Catholic look like in your home? And what part of it do you still, want around our table?
A huge part. All the Italian traditions that my great-grandmother, my grandmother's mother passed on to her have been passed on to me, and I hope to continue to pass those on to my daughters as well. And we grew up very Catholic. Both my sister and I went to Catholic school all the way up till 8th grade. Both my daughters, they didn't go to Catholic grammar school, but they went to CCD. And, I just hope that the values that the Catholic faith is instilled in me. And I hope that I can instill that into my daughters as well, and just kind of keep that going.
Well, I think you did. See, this is the thing.
I think so too.
They're adults technically,
grown,
but they're not, still babies, but I think forever babies. But yeah, it's
and I see those things happen with them, and it blows my mind that, it does have such a profound impact on how children are raised. And it really, really is important that certain things such as faith, tradition, grace, things that, you don't see a lot of, but you hope to see more of, in our kids today.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's been a big part of our relationship lately, is trying to actually bring those values to everything we're doing daily with what we're doing. And we've been taking some shots, friends, but we keep rolling with it. And I think that's like the ironing of the diamond and the rough and all that stuff. The gold goes through some heat, right? And
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep going on these questions though. So, and I'm really hoping the wind doesn't blow this over. But if it does, I'm going to trust one of our athletic abilities to catch it. So we'll see.
Who's ever quicker?
But yeah, let's just not bump each other. And then anyway, all right. When I met you, we were both looking at life through much younger eyes. What do you believe today that young Vikki could not have understand yet back then? What did life have to teach you? Maybe even the hard way.
And I'd say probably one of the biggest things that life has taught me more recently is patience. Not one of God's strongest suits that he gave me. I wish he gave me a little more, but just kind of, I think sometimes
slow down, kid.
Teaches you that. Yeah. And slowing down is part of that. And with that, having patience comes. And it's kind of just it's been big for me these last couple of years is really kind of just letting what happens and letting what happens be. And I think that's a big growth
Some
for me
faith. Yeah.
because I'm a planner. I have to have everything in a routine and in
Not a
order.
planner.
And it's hard when, it doesn't go my way and then, I get thrown off. But I've learned that, sometimes there's a reason why things get thrown off and it's maybe his way.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. That's what we say, but it's true. There you go. All right. Moving on in questions. That was a good one. Before there was ever romance, young Frankie and Vikki were simply friends, and we were good friends. What kind of friends were we back then? And what memories from those early years, tell some fun stories about it.
I mean, the earliest memory of meeting you was obviously your 21st birthday party.
It's my 21st.
In your old backyard. So that's, my earliest memory of meeting you.
That would have been on my father's house on Osceola behind Resurrection Hospital, off of Avondale onto Osceola. And yeah, all his buddies came over and then I had my buddies over and then I think,
and the whole baseball team. Yeah. And then a lot of baseball games, just watching you do what you love was
that
cool.
was fun. We had some fun.
That was cool.
That was pretty bad, huh?
No.
It was
He
rough.
was not.
It was good. It was fun.
And then, the kids came. So then Leah first and then Frankie and just, the Sunday dinners, the football games, coming over, the birthday parties and
there was a lot.
and life happening,
so yeah, life.
But kind of just watching you grow up, watching myself grow up and staying friends really, truly through all of it was, kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't know where we were always going. We were always just always so tight. I always just respected you so much. So I don't know. You were even there at my first wedding, right? And you were there for my second wedding. Imagine that. Which shows that we were there at different chapters in each other's lives, right? But looking back, why do you think our friendship stayed connected through so many years, so many, different changes for both of us? Because I feel like that has always been,
I think a main big part of that is true loyalty. Friendship comes with that, and true friendship. If you don't have loyalty, it's it's just another relationship.
You are somebody that could have hurt me more than probably anybody else could have, and people that know less try to hurt me more, and you never did, and thank you for that. And I don't mean to air everything out on this,
and for me too,
easy.
like staying faithful to something, not even like a romantic relationship, but staying faithful to a friendship is a strong belief I have in just how I am, even with my longtime girlfriends and people I love and care about.
Yeah,
so I think that's a big part of what keeps
who you are too.
going.
Yeah,
and also keeps those longtime friendships going. So. I think loyalty, truly.
All right. Well, now let's settle something that has apparently bothered you for 20 years. Do you really believe you're quicker than me? Because I have to hear about this all the time.
I know I am.
Oh, so what moment or what makes you believe that you are?
I just think I'm faster.
Yeah, faster or quicker? If we race?
Well, you say that. You say faster is different than quicker.
Well, because fast is fast, but if you're quick, you could play third base. I could put you at the hot corner. You're making plays, But if you're fast, maybe I want to play you in center field. If you got a good step too. But I mean, you got you don't have long stride legs.
Well, everybody always says,
remember Mickey Morandini? You'd be like Mickey Morandini running around the bases.
Everybody always says, if you get in a fight, what are you going to do? I always say, well, they got to catch me first.
Well, there you go. That's true. And God, I always tell my kid, if somebody really wants to fight you, your best gift is the legs. Just go. You ain't got to stick around for it. You're fast. Just go. But anyway, all right. Well, yet to be settled. Yeah. I think we should do it on air, but I don't know. How do you do that? What is that? Like that? See, she won. All right. I thought I was going to get her, but that's okay. All right. Next question we have, babe. All right. I got, all right. We have 20 years of memories, beautiful ones, some ridiculous ones, and a few we're going to leave off camera. But what's one of your favorite memories of us? And
oh man,
what makes
so many?
What makes one rise above some of the others?
My favorite, my favorite that just pops in my head every time you ask me that is you asking me to marry you at Wrigley Field. My all-time favorite place, a cold Chicago night and us two standing there with not a single person around that was
cool.
One of my all-time favorite memories, but so many. So many.
Didn't we go to, what was it, Sluggers after the batting cage?
We did. We did batting cages.
Yeah, that was fun. There was nobody in that either.
Yeah.
That was fun. That's a good one. I like
so many.
For me, again, I wasn't my question, but I'm going to say.
What's your favorite memory of us?
I actually think I remember the first corn maze, where it was you, me, Frankie, and Leah. I think it was. It was for like Girl Scouts.
It was Leah's Girl Scouts.
And I knew I was in trouble.
On the top of
That's when I knew I was in trouble.
On the top
I was
of
like, oh man, I think I got it.
The zip line, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, there you go.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah, that's
one of my tops too.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been friends, married, divorced, apart, and somehow found our way back besides each other. When you look at the whole road, what do you believe kept bringing us back, and what finally has changed for both of us, before this chapter could really look different and feel how it does?
For me, I'd say faith. I'd say my faith in what I believed we were and are is what kept me just truly grounded, focused, and
yeah, you didn't change.
Faithful that someday, somehow, what I knew was meant to be was going to always be.
Yeah.
But even with that being said, obviously there was many, many times when that was tested and almost, canceled out, but just trying to stay.
Well, and one thing we've added, and I'm going to put it out there, because if there's other couples that are struggling and, you call yourself Catholic or whatever, we started taking like rosary walks, and Andrea introduced me to honestly, you could do a 25-minute rosary if you want, but there's 14-minute rosary. You put on for 14 minutes and it does it with you on your app. And we talk, and we've been doing that hand in hand. And I feel like that's been helping us too, right? Because as some of these other shots come, it's kind of like putting on the armor of God or whatever.
Yeah, I think with that too, for what's kind of going back to that question of what's kind of got us here and helped us this time different is the pause. Like I think we're able to kind of take a step back, slow down.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate that.
And really, really, truly, realize what we have.
Yeah,
and be grateful for that.
Yeah.
For me,
it's us. It's up to us, right? And so that's what I think is kind of really cool about it. All right. Well, you know me as a ball player to husband, some lost versions, growing versions, and now you know me as this, the Chicago alley cat with the hat. And where have you seen the biggest change in me, and what part, do you still look at me and say, oh, that's the young guy that I met, 20 years ago?
Oh, the thing that you still got from 20 years ago is the determination and just the true, I can't think of the right word for it, but the just drive to do what you want and to go get what you want.
Thank you.
And to watch you do this music thing has been amazing. To see you see something, go after it, and just truly, truly take it for everything that it is has been really cool to watch from afar and from up close as well. And I'm so happy for you and truly proud. I mean, I tell you almost every day how proud I am, but truly proud of everything you've accomplished and gone and got on your own and really put your mind to it. So 20 years ago, watching you do that with baseball, and today watching you do it with this, and 20 years from now, I'm going to probably watch you do it with something else. But that I think will never change with you.
Well, I hope that's true. And I thank you for those words. And sometimes I call you my mirror, and I want to say that, you too, the strides you made, and she's a boss at her career. And yeah, I think that it's really cool to see us. The little kid in us is still kind of the same from 20 years ago, but there's definitely like a different,
maturity.
I
think it's a maturity.
I guess it's age. Yeah. I guess it would be easy for me to make this whole thing about me. I like to do that, guys. So that's what I've been told, but, you've lived 20 years too. And we were just talking about that. And to be honest, where do you see the biggest change in yourself? What part of that young Vikki, are you glad that never left? Because I do see that passion still. It's part of the reason I found love.
That's the biggest, I said it. I think that's the biggest thing is passion.
But to be able to curb.
I hope I never lose that.
Yeah.
I hope I never lose it. But I think learning in the pause of that passion too is sometimes, I always say it's a blessing and a fault.
Yeah.
I say it's a blessing and a fault because it's one of my biggest things that can
it's a biggest
great,
gift that God gave
us. But sometimes it's a fault too because you take some stuff so seriously and so to that extreme of what you
'cause
truly
even
believe in and you fight for it. But sometimes that's looked upon as, you're going too far, you're being too, so sometimes for me personally, I feel like that my passion sometimes comes across as maybe a bad thing, but I hope I never lose that, because that's what makes me me. And I've been told that that's one of my strongest suits in so many aspects of my life, not just, my job, relationships,
well, and
motherhood and
I think
everything.
something that's really, really interesting to what you say to kind of put on top of it is when I interviewed Father Tony, there's been a lot of different priests that I've talked to about anger, right? And I always thought anger was such like this bad thing, and it's another tool, right? So in my own reflections, and then like you and me talking, that's something that, even our news feeds, we'll sit there for 5-10 minutes, and the news feeds on her like is different than mine. And it's like they really are throwing you what they want to throw you, depending on what you're looking at, and you can get swayed on that. And I
Yeah,
think the
easily.
algorithms are, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. That's a good one. So moving on. People have judged us and put us down with really living our story, and it's part of life. But how have you learned to protect what is, really between us, and without, spewing everything out about our lives? What lessons would you give another couple carrying, everybody else's opinions about them, right?
Well, I think, there's something to be said. We kind of learned the hard way that when you do in the early stages of us, when you do put it out there and make everybody a part of it, and because you're so happy and you want it to be,
Yeah, yeah,
out there, it sometimes can take away from what you're trying to do and build. And I think that this time around, I think we're going to do it differently. And I think that there's a lot of things that can be out there and shared, but I think a lot of it needs to be, worked on between us and that person you're with. And I think we've learned that. And again, I'm going to go back to the pause. I think that that's been big
yeah,
for us.
yeah,
And for me personally, and we've talked about this out privately, but, knowing what we lost, I don't want to feel that. I don't think you do either, but it's something special. And when something's taken away from you, you lose it, you get it back. It's that much
well,
more
it's a second chance.
special.
Yeah, that's a
You don't
true
always
mature.
get a chance.
No, no, not at something like this. And I think, we'll get to that further in the questions, but just to kind of have conversation about it, it's something that I feel separates you and me from a lot of other people too. And there's nothing wrong with it, but the grace that had to be shown to get back to this from
Yeah.
both sides has
Yeah.
been, it's
And
been learning. It's been awesome. Go ahead.
and now we might be, overly protective of it. At least I'm gonna try.
And I would rather be that way,
Me
right?
too.
I,
Me
I
too.
think our communication's been over communicating, which I'd rather have
Then the
the
other.
other way
Yeah.
around, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's, all right, people hear logistics and probably picture, trucks and freight, but there's a whole like world behind it. So tell me what you do for custom companies. What does that world actually look like from your side?
So Custom Companies is a all-inclusive LTL company, meaning any kind of freight that goes on a truck. I work.
Wait, any kind of freight? Or I thought
Yes,
that if it's a full truckload, it would be a FTL. So if it's
that's
24
correct.
skids or 26 skids.
That's correct.
If you put them sideways, guys, I'm
Yeah.
just saying. All right, go on, Vic.
That's correct. But I work for the specialized department of Custom Companies, doing expedited and air freight. What I do is different every day. It's very, very fast paced in the world of freight. It's express freight. So thinking something's delivered same day or next day. It's, very quick paced. And I love that. It makes the day go by extremely fast. The company I work for, it's actually kind of a microcosm of what I believe in itself, just because it's a large company that is like a family, truly treats their employees that way. And
I think you should give a plug to the owner because he's an awesome man.
the owner of the company, Perry Mandera, truly
He
believes
happens to be
that.
Italian too. I'm just saying.
That might have something to do with it, but truly believes that, you spend a lot of time in your job, and that the people you work with and the people you work for should be treated like family. And he does that in a way I've never seen done at any other company, and especially not one of this
Not
size.
that big, right?
Not this size.
It's a
No.
huge company,
No.
and I go there, I drop her off, I pick her up. You know me, I like to walk around. I think I could get into anywhere. I'm like my buddy Rick, man. We'll just walk in and we're there, right? And oh, hey, how are you? It's great to see you. And they are like a 10-person company that's huge, and everyone there, they're always grinding. It's a good grind though. They're working towards a purpose.
It's a hard job. I mean, it's a taxing job. I work
He's got
10,
no
11,
veto. He's got
10,
no
11
veto.
hours a day.
Yeah.
He might.
We're gonna have to get those boys, see if they know each other. So.
That Italian community, it's big but
Transportation,
small, right?
right? Yeah.
So I love my job. I love what I do. It's like I said, it's kind of a microcosm of my life. It's fast paced, but
do you remember? Can we talk about it? I don't know if we could talk about it, but we worked for a Chinese furniture store. We'll leave the name out, but we worked for them. They were at Elk Grove, and she was like the assistant ops manager, and I was they hired me as like a return guy. Well, they hired me as a
assistant manager.
That's not what they hired me for, but
something
within a couple of weeks, we did that, and then it was fun. And then we moved up to I was running 3 warehouses within I think it was 6 months, and she was running the ops team with a girl, and we were doing that was a lot of fun. We had our buddy doing B stock. We had the whole thing lined up with B stock. That was fun. What other job stories? I feel like you and me, we always were in talking work stuff. I feel like if there's anybody I could have opened a business with, it would be you, because we did.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we did so much.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one was it the day after Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve or something? We had to ship out how was it? 5,000 orders, right? 5,000 orders. And we were getting and we killed it. We absolutely killed it. But all right, sorry, enough talk about work. But that's a good one. All right, so let's skip down a little here. Every job, not enough about. Let's ask this one. Every job has the part that makes you say, "This is what I'm good at," and the part that makes you want to throw your phone against the wall, right? So, what brings out the best at work, and what has your career taught you about yourself? Kind of answer that, but get a little more into it.
I think it brings out my passion. A lot of times, talked again about loyalty. So, one thing about me and my jobs that I've had in the past and currently. The loyalty is next level beyond what compared to what a normal person would have. I've been told that in reviews and by bosses and other coworkers.
I'd give you the same review. I don't know if I give you a review.
I think it's a core part of me, loyalty, and I think that comes out in my job as well. And I think that really shows when I hear the customer side of what they say about me as part of custom companies.
Well, they're lucky to have you. They seem to love you there, and you seem to love it there. So it's a good.
It's a good fit.
Yeah,
it really is, and truly, I love it. I mean, if I have to do anything that I'm going to get paid for, and it's got to spend all my time there, I wouldn't really want to be anywhere else but there.
Good answer. I love that, and I love the custom companies. So there you go. You have you've watched my entertainment world from the other side of the microphone. Okay. The great rooms, some of the hard nights, and everything that happens after the music stops, okay? What have you seen that most people in the audience will never see? And what have you learned about me by watching me live this dream? Maybe leave names out of it if it's personal. All right.
Well, one thing I have seen that really, truly, I could have never imagined this would be a thing, but seeing the people who care about you and truly
step up for each other, right?
Step up for it's not even about that. It's seeing these people that truly care about you as a person and take the time out of their day to even just stop by, have a cup of coffee, have a glass of wine, and share a few minutes of their night, of their day with you. It's been really cool to see, and
really cool people, guys, and that. Special
people that I never would imagined it like that. You think of an audience and you think they're out there, but some people truly become a connection.
Yeah, they become friends.
And just seeing what it's actually done for you too. I mean, I've seen you help people. I've seen people help you. I've seen truly things that that part of it I didn't expect.
It's strengthening my faith, right?
Yeah, mine too. Mine too. That was one thing that,
You know what? One thing I always said that, like, since I was young, health insurance, it's not a right, it's a privilege, and I believe that. You don't have to believe that. That's something I do, but I had to live that, right? So like I've never, if you don't have health insurance, well, what would you do? The truth is, if that's when you lean into your community, and I've seen that happen with a lot of good guys,
Yeah.
and we're going to be doing some interviews with some stuff like that coming up too. And I'm just excited about, I guess that's the reason I wanted to bring you on first too, right? Because I made this decision, and so many people are going to give their 2 cents. They're going to judge, or they're going to say this, that, or the other. And maybe they have the version of it's fair. They have their right, and they are completely free to do that. But I do want them to see that we're in it, and we're in it for God, and we're trying our best to make a difference. And because there's people that we're not only the ones helping, they're helping us too. And it's deepened the faith for me in a way that I talk about. If you know me, I talk about synchronicities. I talk with Vikki all the time about it, right? And there's good synchronicities and bad synchronicities, but you just see it play out in your day. But it's been a lot of good on that one.
Yeah. And I mean that I know it's kind of sad to say that good would be surprising, but music industry, you think, sometimes
the
that
other
gets
side
a bad,
of it, the other side of
sometimes
it
that
is
gets
there.
a bad, and it is, but
and we've seen that.
But to see the good is what really, really,
Well, and you know what? We're not going to even give, my dad said, don't even give those guys 30 seconds of your mind. And they know who they are. They filled up our inboxes. So, and maybe they should keep our names
in their mouth.
Correct, because that's good. But other than that, we just got to stay in the line, And, but,
and I think one thing you asked, what is different for you? I think it's the positivity. I think seeing you be so positive about just life in general and where you're going with this has been really, really, really cool to see.
Well, thank you, Vic. It's been fun. It's been awesome. And the connections and this. And I think that's why we have to keep this going. I'm not going to have a podcast every week, but we'll bring 8 up, we'll interview, we'll let it go away and bring more people back, because I think it's important to talk about this stuff. All right, well, let's talk about it. Your daughter just got married. When you watched her begin the new chapter, what memories came back for you? And what do you hope she understands about marriage, as you see life now?
Well, congratulations to Alyssa and Alexi, and welcome Alexi's family. We had a beautiful day. I hope that these two who've been together since 7th grade truly, truly lovebirds. Truly, I mean, you see high school sweethearts, but these are truly junior high school sweethearts, going even back before high school. Has been a blessing to watch them grow together, and I hope that they continue to grow. And
they got good head on their shoulders. Both of them are very,
very.
I don't even want to say kids. They're not kids. They're not kids, but they're kids.
Hope that they never take each other for granted, and they never go to bed angry. Those are my 2 words of advice for them. And I hope they stay happy and healthy and have a wonderful family together for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like to never do that. Try not to go to bed angry.
That's a hard one, but it's an important one.
All right, right now, both of your grown children are off in different states having their own little adventures. What does that feel like after all these years, knowing where they always were and what they needed? Exciting, strange, quiet, or a little bit of everything?
There's a saying in our family. My mom made this up, and she said, "The bird flung the nest," and it's coming true now for both of them. Alyssa's off, going to start her own family with Alexi, and Leah's just starting out her adulthood life, and where that takes her is, I can't wait to see. She's going to go to beauty school and do what she's truly passionate about, and I mean, has been for years and years. And I think that's going to be what brings joy to her life. And I just can't wait to see where both of them go. Truly.
It's exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, no. And just like my 2, they're different and unique. There's similarities, but the differences too make it so awesome to watch them to grow up to see, right?
Yeah.
So I hope we're both blessed to be around to be able to see where all of them go, because it'll be fun. All right, you're an operations person. When something needs fixing, you fix it. But adult children do not always need us to fix things. How are you learning when to step in, when to step back, and when to simply just to be mom?
Oh, that's hard.
You're in a transition.
Yeah, that's hard. You kind of want them to make their own mistakes and do their own thing and live their own life. But, I'm always going to give my 2 cents, and, they're going to take the advice that they do, and the advice that they don't, they'll learn from, hopefully. So I just hope that, the lessons they learn along this life are easier than the ones I did.
Well, and I think that's why I tell, my dad used to say to me, you can learn from my mistakes. You don't have to go make them.
Exactly.
And then sometimes we
And I
gotta
hope
go
that
make them, but I hope they can learn from,
A little.
a little,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. All right, let's get to faith, love, and kind of what comes next, okay? You've watched me change. I've watched you change. Do you believe people can truly change? And what does change look like to you beyond promises and words?
Oh man, that's hard. I think people can change. I think certain core things are going to always be a part of people. And I think that has a lot to do with, just morals, how people are raised, family, traditions, things like that. But I also do think people can change. I think people can, take a look at their past, take a look at their present and see, is this what I want? Is this where I want to go? And they can, sometimes people make choices for the better, hopefully. But I think, also you can see it go both ways. For us, I think a lot has changed, not only in the last 2 years, but just over the last 20 years, and where I hope this goes is forever.
I think about Saul and Paul. I think about The Chosen. I think a lot of those guys that, like I tell Vic, like, if you're going to be on Team Jesus, right? Like we both want to be, the devil wants you on his team too, right? That's a real thing. And so you're going to get things thrown at you and you have to stay true to faith. And I don't know, I feel like the more we've been doing these things, the more those synchronicities, like we were talking about, you see the good, you see all of it.
I agree.
And I don't know, it's just
and a lot of when you least expect it to be there too. And I think we've been seeing that quite a bit.
And I think that's where you were talking about the patience, because like neither one of us are patient, but the more patience we've been having, the more we're seeing it play out the right way.
Yeah.
So.
I really truly believe that. And you learn that. I've learned that. It was not always easy for me to be that way, but I have definitely learned that in my maturity.
All right. So faith is easy to talk about when everything is going according to plan, right? That's kind of what we're saying here. But when did your Catholic faith become real for you, and how has it carried you through a time when life did not go the way you wanted?
You're going to make me pull out all the stories now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're doing, go ahead. You go.
I'm going to say over the last 2 years of just, truly trying to stay in this hopeful state that, what I truly believed was going to happen would eventually happen. I don't know if God brought us back together, the universe. I don't know if, I willed it somehow into existence, but I'm glad it did, because I think some things that are truly meant to be do come back. And if that's what we're here to do, then I'm here for that ride too.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been more like a Sunday drive this time.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Than a lakeshore drive.
Yeah. When we first met, probably, we probably thought love was mostly something you felt. 20 years later, we know it can also be a choice, a sacrifice, a friendship. And sometimes I call you my mirror. What do you understand about love today that, neither one of us understood back then?
It's not easy. I tell this story, so I can tell it here. I sat in the back pew of your wedding in church, and I thought to myself, if I ever married a man, I would want to marry somebody like Frankie is to Jessica, because I saw this relationship that, was beautiful. And I think you guys truly had that. And I mean, you created your son, Frankie.
Yeah, it was a blessing.
So you really did.
Yeah.
But
we were young and just like, first, first
love.
Yeah. And then we.
So I think I thought love was easy.
Yeah.
But it's not. I think love
can be a choice more than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Where, you think that it comes easy, but it's a lot of work. It's putting in that extra effort to make the person, feel like you care about them and feel like you do love them. I mean, that is what it's about. And so I'd say that,
I feel like
I thought it was a lot easier.
Both people got to give more than 100%. It's not like each person gives 50%.
Yeah, that's a true statement.
Your children are their own. Your career is in a new chapter, and our story is too. When you look ahead now, what does Vikki still want for herself? And someday when your children tell your story, what do you hope they say about the woman and mother you were?
Well, honestly, I just hope that they say that I always was there for them, that I always did the right thing for them, and that I taught them lessons like you said, like that, sometimes they had to learn them the hard way and sometimes they learned from me. And I just hope they have, you know, they take it a little bit easier and someday we look back on all of this and we're all blessed and grateful for what we've experienced. And I know I feel truly grateful for what I've experienced up till now. And just, looking into the future, even with us, I hope we can stay on this path of peace and just kind of together and the connection, keep it strong. And,
Well, from
another 20 years from now, we're looking back doing another podcast and, asking ourselves this question, what did we say 20 years ago?
Yeah, no, and
So
I think I want to say something about you and your family because I've experienced Vic and her family, from really close, from very far, from really close, from very far, and those traditions that we've been talking about that I'm so enthralled in that I it's who she is, it's who her family is, and your children already have it in them, and they'll continue to pass it on from 102 years all the way to the baby that's going to be born soon. So it's been a joy to be a part of not just your life, but your family to experience all of that. And I really look forward to the future. And now we do have a guest here, and I don't know if I should interrupt to say hello or should we just leave it alone? It's up to you. She was so gracious to just
over.
peek over and just say hello, right?
And we'll
She just
give
came
you a
out to
big
say
hug.
she was inside doing dishes, but she's absolutely the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mwah. Thank you. Okay.
And she's
so
out
happy
there.
that I've met.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
how I met Frankie.
It's the best. So, guys, without further ado, this has been Between Sets. And Vic, thanks for taking the time to do this.
Thank you for having me. It
Andrea,
was
thank
really
you for
fun.
having us. We're gonna spend a little time together now and keep the pigeons out of here. And it's been great. She's
Looks
got
like we're in
absolutely
Italy.
It does. Thank you for this. And God bless until next week. We'll talk soon, guys.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back, and I'm wrapping this up the next morning after an absolutely wonderful Sunday. So that was Vikki, that was me, and I guess after 20 years of knowing each other, I'm glad we finally got to just get a chance to sit down and talk through some of our story together. And it was kind of cool to do it at Andrea's house. Very cool. Vikki, thank you for taking the time to do this and being so open. I know that wasn't easy for you. Andrea, thank you for letting us into your house, into your backyard, and for feeding us that Sunday dinner. Absolutely. Incredible. And those leftovers, well, they didn't make it to lunch, so I'm just letting you know. Thank you for everyone who listened, spent the time, a little time with us. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to come see me this week, I'll be at Chicago Prime Tuesday night, 6 to 9. Sorelli's Long Grove Wednesday. Coletti's, I got a couple private events this week too, which I needed, so I'm grateful for that. I'll be out in Evanston. But if you're around in the neighborhoods, Prime, Sorelli's, Coletti's Saturday, come have dinner, have a drink, enjoy some the old songs, and say hello. And before we go, I always like to end it with a little song, Dean style. I don't have the music playing behind me, but I guess it makes a little sense because it's simple as 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as can be. Just the way you look at me, you make me smile. Ain't no need to complicate it. We both know that's overrated. We've been there, it's safe to say that ain't our style. It's that simple, S-I-M-P-L, as simple as can be. It's that simple, S-I-M-P-L, as simple as can be. God bless, guys, and have a great week. I tell my kids, when things aren't going so great, keep your chin up. When things are going really, really good, keep your head down. So stay humble, have faith, and stay blessed. And we will see you next week with a gentleman that I am honored to sit down with, and I think you guys will be very excited. We're staying with the transportation, and well, this one's bigger than that. This is we'll have some fun. So God bless, guys. We'll talk soon.